How's everybody doing? My name is Anthony Brian Logan, and today we got to talk about one of Joe Biden's 42 executive orders and actions that he has signed within the first 10 days of office. Today is Saturday, January 30th, 2021. He got inaugurated Wednesday, January 20th, 2021. And here we are with 42 executive orders and actions. I feel like every day they trot him out there on television. He'll struggle to read the teleprompter. He's like leaning forward and squinting and whatnot. And then he says, okay, I'm going to sign the executive order for LGBTQ, gerbils, in a safe space, and a transgender terrarium with a focus on racial equality and justice for all peoples of color, including transgender, transracial peoples. And then he'll sign it, and then that'll pretty much be it. You know, wash, rinse, repeat the very next day with the exact same thing. He's done that a lot, and we have 42 executive orders and actions as a result. Now, this is pretty weird that he's doing this because a certain someone told me fairly recently that only dictators governed by executive order.
Some of my Republican friends and some of my Democratic friends even occasionally say, well, if you can't get the votes by executive order, you're going to do something. Things you can't do by executive order unless you're a dictator. We're a democracy. We need consensus.
But maybe I heard that wrong. Maybe it's out of context. I don't really know, but I digress. There's quite a few orders here. There's a lot going on. You're talking about racism and climate change and whatnot, but I'm going to focus on one specific executive order. And as a matter of fact, I'll place that on the screen before you. This is going to be on the White House's website, and you see the headline right in front of you. If you're not watching the video, I'll read it for you. It's the executive order on preventing and combating discrimination on the basis of gender identity or sexual orientation. Okay, I did not make that up. I'm reading it right here from whitehouse.gov, and I'll place this executive order in the description box below so you can read it for yourself. When I had that really long executive order earlier that I was just making up, you thought I was being a little bit dramatic, but we see what's going on here with these very long names. Now, there's quite a bit of legal speak in this. I'll read the first part just so you understand what's going on. All right. Section 1, policy. Every person should be treated with respect and dignity and should be able to live without fear, no matter who they are or whom they love. Children, here's a big part. Children should be able to learn without worrying about whether they'll be denied access to the restroom, the locker room, or school sports. Let's pause right there. So if you are, I don't know, 14 years old, talking about you're transgender and you're a biological male, now you can go be in the women's restroom, in the women's locker room. And if you have kids, how would you feel about that? Let's say you got a 12-year-old, or matter of fact, a 14-year-old daughter. She's ninth grade high school, and she is changing for PE class. Here you have a 16-year-old boy that's already 6'2", 230 pounds, talking about he's transgender in the same locker room with your daughter. How would you feel about that? Is that safe? Would you feel confident in allowing your child to go to that kind of place, to be in a school like that? And how about in the bathroom? Would you feel confident about that? I'm not really sure. And the biggest thing is the sports. We'll get to that in a minute. It continues. Adults should be able to earn a living and pursue a vocation, knowing that they will not be fired, demoted, or mistreated because of whom they go home to or because how they dress does not conform to sex-based stereotypes. So, again, you could be, Milli Vanilli looking, basketball, Kristaps Porzingis, Manute Bol looking, wearing box braids, and that's fine. But we'll move on. People should be able to access healthcare and secure a roof over their heads without being subjected to sex discrimination. So what does that mean? We're talking about healthcare. I'm going to touch on that right quick. If you are, again, a biological male, now identifying as female, do you go to an OBGYN? It's like, what are they going to do? It's like, so you got a prostate. I can't do nothing with that. Go to your primary care physician. Don't come to the OBGYN for your twiggenberries, but I'll move on. All persons should receive equal treatment under the law, no matter their gender identity or sexual orientation. All right. So again, if you want to read more of that or see it for yourself, not just take my word for it, that will be in the description box below. But there's a lot in that particular executive order. I want to focus on the whole thing about sports. If someone identifies as transgender, LGBTQ, whatever, that's their business. I don't really care too much about that. That is on them. However they gotta deal with that, I'm cool. It's not really a big deal to me. My thing is that I don't think it's okay for biological men to compete against biological women, and to like this shouldn't really be the case. If you want to identify as transgender, you should compete with your biological sex. Okay? Men compete with men, women with women. It doesn't matter how you look, what you identify as, that should be what it is, because there are certain biological advantages that a man will have over a woman, period. It's weird because the same people that say trust the science, believe the science, they want to praise Anthony Fauci like it's some kind of deity or God on earth. They'll totally ignore actual provable science, obvious science when it comes to this issue. All right. I'm not saying you should treat people that are transgender poorly. I'm just saying, let's just be fair here, because if we're talking about basketball, there would never, ever be a female LeBron James, Kobe Bryant, or any other male. Here's a prime example. You got guys that were 5'3", 5'6". I think Spud Webb was 5'6" or 7. And he was in a dunk contest. I think he won a dunk contest, if I'm not mistaken. If I'm wrong, let me know. But he was able to dunk a basketball at 5'7" at the max. He could get up off his feet, jump, and dunk. You got women that are 6'8" that can barely dunk. 6'8" that can barely get over the top, because physically women are different than men. That's just a fact. All right. Biological men cannot give birth. They don't have ovaries. They don't have a vagina. They're not going to be able to produce a baby. It's not going to happen. There's physical differences. Women have different bone structure because they got to be able to be pregnant for 9 months and do it multiple times. Their hip structure, the lower body, and they got more durability in the lower body because they got to be able to carry babies, but less in the upper body to compensate. Men, on the other hand, we're stronger upper body. Upper body strength naturally will be better with men than it is for women. And also lower body, we're faster, we're more quicker in our feet, which is why we're talking about track and field. There will never be a woman that can beat, like, if we're talking about the top trained women in track and field, they can never, ever beat the top trained men, period. There will be no female Usain Bolt. Usain Bolt, it's impossible for Usain Bolt to lose a foot race to any woman, barring any kind of accident or something like that. If he trips and falls, or it's just not going to happen. It's physically not possible. Now, I'm not going to say that there aren't some women biologically that can defeat men in certain things, of course. But we're talking about the top trained people, the top athletes, like people that are trained to be athletes, it's just not going to happen. And what's going to end up happening is you're going to have a lot of these schools for scholarships overlook biological women when it comes to sports scholarships. Because why? All right, check it out. The biggest sports that generate money in college are men's basketball and football. That's the two top ones right there. Football being the obvious number one dominant thing. College football is tremendous. And then men's basketball. Everything else is up under that. And the reality is that these sports contribute the most amount of money to the other sports. Without football and men's basketball, you would not have field hockey or anything like that, because they fund all the other sports. Now, what if you could get more money in women's basketball? How would you be able to do that? How would you be able to bring some entertainment and excitement in women's basketball? Oh, I don't know. Get a transgender basketball player on your team. Why not? It satisfies all the categories. You have a man being able to play basketball, right? Who'll be more skilled than the women, and LGBT, which satisfies those that want to see, sports become more woke. So it's going to be a slam dunk. You're going to see more colleges trying to recruit transgender players onto their teams. That's just a fact. And it's going to hurt women. Women are not going to win much anymore if biological men are able to be on their teams, competing with them or against them. It's unfair. You've already seen this happen in the Olympics where they did the whole transgender thing. It was a man, a biological man, playing basketball with the women, and it was so obvious, like the size difference, the height. It was just so obvious, and it was just ridiculous. Powerlifting, any kind of sport like that, pretty much every sport, men are gonna dominate. So the fair thing to do, the right thing to do for women, if you really appreciate women and you want to see them have their own accomplishments, is to have women compete with women. All right. You may have some women that are better than others, and that's fine. The same thing with the men. LeBron James, obviously, is better than 99.9% of guys that are out there playing basketball, and that's fine. LeBron James is a special talent, but he's competing against men. If you had LeBron James competing against women, he scored 100 points effortlessly every single night. It'd be Wilt Chamberlain times 10. It'd be impossible for them to do anything with him. So have women compete with women. They can have their own things, their own spaces. Let's not invade on women's spaces. Let's let them have their space and let men have their space and have that be that. Okay? I don't care. Matter of fact, if somebody is claiming to be transgender and they want to play basketball, let them play with the men. I don't care. I mean, you got gay guys in the NBA and the NFL right now. Right now. Okay? You got guys that came out later talking about they're gay, all this and that. I don't care. That's not even my business, really. Can you play basketball or not? That's it. That's all. And if you want to come to the sidelines or to the arena dressing in a very distracting way, that might get changed. And really, they probably wouldn't even do that much because Dennis Rodman, look at what he was doing back in the day. Wearing a whole wedding dress, they ain't care. It's like, look, all you got to do is come to game day and play. That's it. Dennis Rodman could have came out as trans. He had a wedding dress on and married himself with makeup and the veil and the whole thing, a white wedding dress. He did that. But so what? The man was a beast on the rebounds, Hall of Famer. That's all that really matters at the end of the day. How you identify, how you look, how you present is really irrelevant. But I think I'll leave that right there for now. And what say you? Do you think that Joe Biden is a hypocrite for having all these executive orders, but then at the same time talking about, oh, well, if you have executive orders, that's how you govern, you're kind of a dictator? If that's your viewpoint, let me know why in the comments below. How you feel about my stance on the transgender sports players and being in the locker room, in the bathroom and whatnot? Am I being bigoted? Am I a hater? If that's your viewpoint, let me know why in the comments below. Or is it just kind of common sense? Have men compete with men. It doesn't matter how you present, how you look, how you identify, whether you're LGBTQ, transgender, non-binary. I don't care what how you feel about yourself. That's totally irrelevant. Can you play the game? That's what matters. And compete with your biological gender. If I'm right about that, wrong about that, let me know in the comments. But you guys know where I'm at. If you were born as a male, compete with the males. If you were born as a female, compete with the females. That's it. Anything else is totally irrelevant. But whatever your thoughts are, please let me know in the comments below. And that's all I got to say for this video. If you like what you heard, please comment, rate, share, and subscribe. Peace.